Hello, everybody. Welcome to this Monday Musings, this collective consciousness awakening, this ascension video, really, this podcast, however you're listening or watching. It's always a joy to bring these topics forward, and some of them are quite challenging to stay present. This is the third time that I've recorded this. This is the third time I've recorded this one, so it's an interesting one. And I'll get into why in just a moment. But before we do get started here, I just want to invite and welcome everyone. For those who haven't yet enrolled on tomorrow's workshop with the delightful Tim Wilde and myself at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, the 30th of May, we will be visiting the 7 sacred sons of our ascension process to receive their key codes, their DNA expansion, their grace, their wisdom, and their attunements, as we prepare ourselves for the next phase of where we're at collectively of our ascension. So it's going to be a lot of fun going to each of those planets and receiving that wisdom. So if you haven't yet enrolled, you can go to either my website or Tim's. The link is in the description box. And it'll be a joy to see you there or on the replay. So if you're busy, don't worry, it's recorded. But for now, let's jump straight into this topic. So we're going to be talking about a part of the wounded masculine template. And this is a big collective energy. And I was saying before that, it's taking me, this is the third time I'm trying to record this. And, that's how big this is, when there is a lot of energy that already has a lot of momentum in the world, something which we are trying to rebirth, not just trying, but succeeding to rebirth. It can energetically have a mind of its own, right? Some people call that the matrix, but energetically it can have a mind of its own. It can have its own energy. And it's a fairly big one. And it's part of wounded masculinity. Some people call it toxic masculinity. We all have masculine, feminine energy within us because at the very base of the vibration, it is non-physical. So this isn't anything to do with physical gender. This is about the vibration, the principle of this universe, the principle of gender. And when in this world, to create the space that we are creating, the world that we're creating, it's reliant on the masculine and the feminine rebirthing themselves and coming into union within us, right? To form this Christed light, to allow our Christ light to rise up, to dissolve the ego. But let's look first at what ego is, right? We all have many, many egos, not just one. Ego is a part of us, and I explain this a little more so in the free workshop recording that I have on my website, Knowing Peace Amidst Chaos. So feel welcome to get that recording, because that's free on there, where we talk more about this. But the ego, every time we have an experience that causes us to question and to doubt our validity as source energy, and we embody and identify outside of ourselves, we identify with someone else's truth, no matter how wounded or true it might be, we identify external to ourselves. What happens within us is we have this conflict of thought, where the higher self that is within you, that is wishing you to have the best life possible, is saying one thing, and you're choosing to believe and create something else, such as, this person said this about me. I'm experiencing this in the real world. These people are acting a certain way. So instead of knowing what is true, which might be a more challenging path, I am going to identify with what they say on some level, even if it's not conscious. Unconsciously, I'm identifying with them because I'm allowing it to affect me. That's the ego in a nutshell. And the emotion that we have tells us how far away the two thoughts are. Our higher self thought and this new thought that we've started to imprint and identify with. The emotion in between, the frustration, the guilt, the shame, the humiliation, whatever it is, tells us how far away we are from our true voice. But it's that emotional energy which feeds the ego. So then what happens is a shadow aspect. It gets held in this container. It's like there is a road from the heart to the shadow. The shadow wants to come back home to the heart, but this emotion that we have keeps blocking away until the bridge essentially collapses. And all we have is this shadow moving around us, trying to come home. Now, our shadows aren't seen to our conscious mind. Our shadows, can't see them. We only experience them through others, through experiences. And when we experience them, our higher self is going, great, you're creating this experience so that you can see your shadow embodied in another. There being a channel for your shadow so that you can choose to feel forgiveness, peace, love, and appreciation so it can find a way home. A new bridge can be built. But most of the time as humans, we don't do that. We've estranged ourselves so much from that practice. It's challenging. It takes courage. It takes vulnerability, and it takes sheer strength of heart. And especially right now in this build-up, we've had a very fast-paced May, very built-up May. We're in the run-up to a solstice. So between the eclipse and the solstice, we've had this massive energy. And this energy wants to rebirth the sacred masculine, right? It's his time. It's his time. The feminine rebirths, the masculine rebirths, the feminine rebirths, the masculine rebirths, and we have to rebirth both of those energies within ourselves. If we're only focusing on one, we're lacking the other. If we're only focusing on one, then the wounded template of the other is still running within us. So what's really interesting and why we say that is because in order to make whole an energy, to ascend it, to heal it, to alchemize it, to make what is distorted or wounded into the sacred and divine, we have to balance the two poles, the two spectrums. So if you have a spectrum here, one end of it, this could represent one thing and this could represent another. They might seem very, very different, but really they're the same thing. They're the same thing, just showing up very differently. So to put that into a very easy perspective, which may trigger some, it's not intentional, but narcissist, empath, one spectrum. Narcissist on one end, empath on another, right? It's the same energy, just in two completely opposite degree of, like, two completely opposite sides, right? So everything really is like this. And when we're healing, when we're alchemizing, when we're returning home to the heart, and when we are rebirthing ourselves, it's challenging and it's difficult. Our bodies can hurt and our emotions might get big, but that is because it's trying to rebirth and we're still stopping it somewhere. So with that 7 minutes of intro there, control. Let's look at control, manipulation, control, specifically through slander or through the wounded masculine template. This could actually be the narcissist empath spectrum, in fact. Whenever there is one energy, there is always an equal opposite. So what we want to do, we want to bring those all opposites back to one so it can feel whole again. Until that happens, we experience duality. But we're not meant to be a world of duality, we're meant to be a world of Christ consciousness. That's what we can achieve if we wish to. We have to dissolve our multiple egos, though. And to do that, we have to alchemize every shadow that comes face to face with us. And one of the biggest ones right now is this wounded masculine energy. Some call it toxic masculinity. It's all wounded. Doesn't matter what words we use. I prefer just to say wounded masculinity because we have wounded femininity as well. And the wounded masculine energy forgets that he is worthy of the crown. He forgets that he's sovereign. He forgets that he has all the wisdom, all the strength, all the provision. He forgets that he's there to protect. And that part of divine masculinity is waiting to be reborn. And as something is getting ready to be reborn, everything that is opposing it will come up. So some of you may have felt energies like this. Some of you may have experienced things like this. And although maybe intellectually you've healed, there may still be energy within the cells, within the emotions, within the fields of energy showing up. And it may show up right now. It may have showed up in May. But it's coming up to be healed, because the only thing that will ever heal anything is love and forgiveness. And that might sound challenging to do in some circumstances. But the really interesting thing is if we understand time to be not linear, but we understand time to be circular, then we understand that our past lives and things like that, they're all happening right now. And if we've experienced that in one aspect, if we've experienced that in narcissistic energy in one instance, in another instance, we have been the narcissist. I know that's triggering to say, to hear, I know. If we've ever experienced narcissistic energy in another space, place, or timeline, whether it's this timeline or not, we have played that role as well, because that's what we do here with our lifetimes. They're jigsaw piece puzzles to understand and to grow, to go, oh, this is what it's like when I do this. Okay, and then you leave the body and you go, you have your life review and you go, maybe that wasn't the best choice. Maybe I'm going to do it differently next time. Let's get the veil of amnesia back on. Let's go in and try it again. But the really interesting thing is, when you have someone who's narcissistic, they're trying to control, right? They're trying to control, manipulate the view that others see you as, so that they can feel safe, because really on a vibrational level, they feel very unsafe, very unlovable. And so they create. But equal and opposite is the empath, right? And a lot of times, those that resonate with that term, and you might not do, and that's okay, but those that resonate with that term, they feel like they can't go out into public, or that, people just drain their energy and things like that. But the interesting thing is that if their masculine energy was healed and self-run, that wouldn't be possible, because energy only depletes or is siphoned because it's being given anyway. There is a perforation in that auric field. There is a wound there. I know this is a big topic to talk about. And so I just invite you just to stay in your heart here and just be curious. Be curious. Witness and observe. Observe what feelings and emotions may arise as you hear what's being said. So when we want to get to a point where because if we're resonating with the term empath and we feel like our energy is constantly being drained, if we feel like we're not grounded and things like that, we're also acting from fear. Our vibrational premise is fear. We forgot as well who we are. Just like the wounded masculine who is playing the role of narcissist has forgotten who he is, and he's trying to control the situation and control others. So is the empath. They've also forgotten who they are. They've forgotten that their energy can't be taken, it can only be given. And this is like an important way to look at things, and it's an important topic to bring up, because to actually truly alchemize this, and we have to be able to look at anyone acting in a manipulative or controlling or trying to control way, even if, because the thing is right now between eclipses and the solstice, this is old karma coming up. You may have healed this already, you may have healed this, but it's just coming up to really anchor in on a DNA level that you can look upon all beings with forgiveness and love, because that vibration that you choose of forgiveness and love will also heal them. We can't be a world wanting to help everyone ascend and to go into this new space, or whatever you want to call it, whatever words you want to use. We can't genuinely, with integrity, do that unless we genuinely feel for every being that we meet, no matter what they say or do, that we choose to unconditionally love. Right? We have to choose that, to see that they are also somewhere wounded. And that's not for us to say, hey, you're wounded, because we are too. The only being that we can impact is ourselves, really. In that way, it's our vibration which mirrors outwardly. So if we want to draw the best out of others and help others heal, we have to anchor the highest vibration we can possible. And so that means looking at some of the really tricky, spiky things in the world, such as control and manipulation. It's interesting to think as well why something feels like it can affect you. If someone is saying something about you, why does it bother you? Are other people's minds and hearts so weak and so broken that they can't see what is true? I was thinking about this a few weeks back. I was like, am I actually really bothered by this or that? Like, what part of me is feeling bothered by it? Like, why do I feel bothered by something like this? What could that actually be? Is it because, is it because of what they're saying? Well, no, it only bothers me if it's true, I guess. So unless I'm identifying with it, if I don't identify with it, then I give it no energy. I don't feed it. It's just like we said at the beginning, those parts of ourselves that are out here, shadows, are getting fed by emotion. So when someone is saying or doing something and we have an emotional response, we're feeding that illusion still. So we have to collapse that. We have to release and control our emotions to a point where not suppress them, but witness them, hear them, see them, honor them, but don't let them create unconsciously. Become conscious, become the observer of our emotions, the observer. So I was asking myself a few weeks back, I'm like, hey, if someone was to say or do that, why would that bother me? It's not because I identify with it. So it doesn't matter that they're saying something like that. What actually is it? Oh, you know what? I'm feeling this particular emotion. Okay, maybe there is something that I haven't healed yet. Oh, look at that. There's something coming up here. I'm feeling something in my body. Oh, it feels a bit interesting and a bit uncomfortable. I'm going to sit with it. I'm going to sit with it until I hear it clearly. And I'm going to breathe. And I'm going to send blessings to the person, to the being that is making this emotion come up, because they are my best friend right now. They've got to be. Anyone that is triggering you has got to be your best friend right now, because they are helping you remember who you are. If we looked at everyone in the world this way, wow, how quick would we get through that ascension portal? Like, wow, they are my best friend right now because they are showing me an emotion that I've not seen, a trigger that I've not come across for a long time, something that I thought was fully healed, but look, there's still more. What a blessing. And bless you for having that vibration. Bless you for it being so easily accessible that you must be wounded as well on some level. Bless you with consciousness. Bless you with, validity. Bless you with love and compassion and forgiveness. And know that you are enough. You are worth. You are worthy of being here. You are worthy. And I'm thinking this about someone who perhaps wasn't the most pleasant to me, because that's the only way I can consciously, with integrity, feel about someone who's raised an emotion in me that isn't bliss and joy. That is the only way I can wish to feel if I want to heal. And the beauty is that as within, so without, everyone is a reflection of you, everyone. This is part of the oneness that we are, the unity consciousness. Everyone is a part of me. This person that I was referring to, they're a part of me. In some way, shape, or form, everyone is. And I wouldn't condemn any part of me. I won't condemn any part of anyone else. So I've got to find a way to find love for them. And for me, that's me walking my walk. I'm not going to condemn them right now or judge them. I'm going to find a way to feel good about them and what's, yeah. So a bit of a longer video, a bit of a big one, really. But I share this because we're all experiencing our own triggers, whether we see them or not. The more we can be an observer of our emotions, the more that we can notice when we're feeling something other than genuine joy. And I say genuine because there's intellectual joy, and then there's genuine vibration. Because as soon as we see the vibration drop, it shows us what's asking to come up now, right? So I hope that this has offered some food for thought. Last year, I had the honor of recording a 7-week course with a dear lady called Melissa, and it's called From Illusion to Love. And it was a 7-week shadow integration course where we go into all this in much more depth and detail with quantum healings and light integrations and things like that. That's still available on my website to go through at your own pace. So information and the attunements and the quantum healing and, and it's broken down into, is it 6 or 7 weeks? There's a lot of content there with some bonus content too. So if it calls to you, if you're feeling like you're ready to take a hold of your shadows and really alchemize them and release the constructs of your own energy fields, right? Change your outer world, then please feel welcome to have a look at that. And if it calls to you, it's immediately accessible. Send you so much love. And thank you for being here. Thank you for being here on Earth. I see you. It's not an easy time, but you're doing it with joy in your heart and courage. And so my heart bows to you.